still growing.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlong, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody crabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. This is old Alan Autry having the blessing to be with you again for the next hour. Appreciate you so much. We had, our viewership and listenership had a big day on Monday. We didn't have the show on Tuesday. Had to catch up on some things. But we're here today, and Jeremy, I think, Chewy, he's been on hold for 2 days. Chewy gets disappointed when we don't do Taco Tuesday. So we'll get to him when he's ready to go. Jeremy will, Chewy's ready right now? Chewy, are you there? Man, that kind of brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? I mean, a guy loving the show that much, Chewy, you know, living the tough life down in the deepest, darkest parts of Mexico, running from those cartels, bringing us the truth. I mean, cartels doesn't like him to listen to this show. He's got to go out and find some place, some, you know, he gets on the old burro, goes out someplace and has his computer there and listens. And we just appreciate you, Chewy. Thank you so much, not for just listening to the show, but laying your life on the line day after day to give us the encouragement we need. And next Tuesday, I think we might do Tuesday. It's the Tuesday before Christmas. We might be on next Tuesday. But folks, hey, listen, before we get to so much happening. Hunter Biden is not going to testify. Said today, this morning, if you haven't heard, hey, subpoenas, we don't need no stinking subpoenas. We don't respond to no stinking subpoenas, essay. He flipped his nose and probably one of his digits on his finger to the House committee. It says you got to come and testify about this mountain of evidence. I mean, I'm talking Mount Everest of evidence that we have that you were part of a pay-for-play scheme that included your uncle and your father, but in particular you. And so we'll see how that, and his excuse for not coming, you're gonna love that. But first of all, I have got to, it was Monday. I was going to say yesterday, but it was Monday. One thing about getting old, Jeremy, there's no such thing as reruns. I'm watching. Yeah, you can see what that show, when they show me the night on Monday, by Wednesday, watch it again. It's like a brand new show. But I got on Monday, kind of got on Pat Mahomes, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. And being a sports guy, I'm a jock guy. I think I adhere to the old time way of thinking in terms of being a role model. And believe me, I fell short as an athlete of being a role model for young people. But that never made me throw up my hands and say, just because I can't do it, you shouldn't be that role model. Yes, people are looking at you, especially these young people. They're emulating everything you do, not just on the court, on the baseball field, on the football field, but in life and how you handle situations. It's just the way it is. We shouldn't be just because you can hit a baseball a long way or you can score touchdowns or, soccer goals, whatever. What is that? That doesn't make you a good person to look up to as a person, but it just is. It is the way it is, so we can curse the darkness or turn on the light. And Pat Mahomes, up to this point, I think, has been a really good role model in today's world in terms of how he conducts himself on the field, how he handles the ups and the downs with class, with dignity, always complimenting the other team and his teammates for his personal success. When they congratulate him for 4 touchdown passes and 400 yards and another Super Bowl, he's very quick to shift praise to his offensive line, his receivers, and defense, so on and so forth. But Monday, if you saw this game, it was an unbelievable ending between the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, two teams that have become really bitter rivals. And Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, he did an unbelievable play on I think there's about 25 seconds to go, and he got hit with a little slant, or Mahomes hit him with the ball. It doesn't mean hit him. He threw a pass to Kelce, caught, and Kelce was getting ready to get tackled, and he throws the ball. I mean, just a in-the-numbers strike, like Peyton Manning-esque throw on the run to his teammate. He goes in for what looked like the winning touchdown. Unbelievable ending. But a flag on the play. And the flag was one of the Kansas City wide receivers had clearly lined up offsides. It wasn't even close. Well, Mahomes and Andy Reid went apoplectic. They got ticked off, saying the referee should have warned. Should have went, hey, wide receiver number 11 or whatever he was, you're offsides, better move back. Well, that's not the job of a referee. A referee is to call the balls and strikes, to call real penalties and what's allowed by the rules and not allowed by the rules. That's their job, not to coach you. That's the coach's job during the week to show you. And that's one of the first things you do as a wide receiver is you go out, take your position, look at the ref and say, am I all right? The guy didn't even check with the referee. And he had been known to make mistakes earlier in games, earlier part of the season. This is a kid, young guy, rookie, I believe. A lot to learn. But anyways, offsides, play was called back, Chiefs lose, and Mahomes just went after the referee. Referee's fault because he should have warned the wide receiver. Andy Reid comes to Mahomes' defense. He piles on. Several other Kansas City Chiefs pile on. Some of the announcers, not all, jumped on him going, a game like this, they should have called. He should have told the guy he was offsides, which I never understood at all. And even after the game, you have time to cool down. Mahomes still upset, still criticizing the referee. The only one that really was Travis Kelce, the guy who made the play, the great play, took it in stride. Hey, this happens. He was offsides. You got to call it. Well, yesterday, Mahomes gave an apology. I mean, and you can go online, look it up. I won't read it, have it right here. Maybe tomorrow I will, because it was a really honest-to-goodness apology. And it wasn't one of those, well, I'm sorry I said this word, but no ambiguity about it. 100% mea culpa. I shouldn't have gotten that upset. He went on to say that he let everybody down that were fans of his, in particular the kids. Wow. He says, that's not how you conduct yourself. And I guess he wasn't very warm towards Josh Allen after the games. It's a tradition where the two opposing quarterbacks kind of meet out in midfield, shake hands, nice game, good job, whatever. And I guess Mahomes was not too receptive of Josh Allen out there and a lot of stuff. But he pointed that out as well, that's no way you act after a ball game. So I wanted to take time, people say, well, I look up here, we've spent, 10 minutes, close to on this? Well, I don't feel like it's wasted time, because accountability is something that you just don't find enough per square inch in this world, especially in politics, sports. It's blame somebody else. Not my fault. Entitlement. And I think Pat Mahomes had time to think about that. I mean, the guy was offsides. Why are you arguing? Why are you going after the referee? And, there's an old saying that, it's tough for a man to admit his faults, especially to himself. And there was an entitlement type aspect to this. Hey, we're the Chiefs. I'm Pat Mahomes. You should have done something different because, you see that every day with LeBron James, great basketball player. But you never hear him apologize like this for falling short of being the role model that he should be for kids. And in some aspects of life, he has tremendous work ethic, but he just doesn't have it in him to truly apologize for bad behavior. You surely don't see a politician doing that. You don't see you vary. I'm trying to think. Can you think of folks listening out there and watching that you've heard? And I really urge you, go online and you can probably Google Mahomes apology. And it wasn't just, hey, if I hurt somebody's feelings or if to the referees, if my actions caused you to be embarrassed. And, people get crazy nowadays, especially since they brought gambling into sports. Over around the world, it's not uncommon for soccer referees to get beat up, murdered, or what have you for making a call. He's Pat Mahomes. He's telling this referee, you blew it for us. That referee, I'm not saying, that his life could have been in danger, but there's crazy people out there. Some dude's got several 100,000 on the Chiefs, and this referee cost the game. People do crazy stuff. And so on so many levels, at least I feel, maybe, I'm just a vanishing breed, I don't know. But apparently, Pat Mahomes thinks it's important too. And, when I see something like this happen, I want to highlight it. I highlighted it when I thought it was totally out of bounds and wrong and something that he fell short, especially having played the quarterback position in the National Football League like I did. There's a kinship there, even if you were crappy like I was at playing the game, or you've won multiple Super Bowls like him. You've had that privilege to play that position, and you know how much young people look up to you. When I was a quarterback for the Packers, I constantly got asked to go speak at Pop Warner events, speak to the kids, talk to the kids. And I wasn't any good, really, in the whole scheme of things. I made it to the NFL. But I wasn't great. Imagine Mahomes, the impact he has on kids. So again, I'm not sorry I'm spending this much time. Way to go, Pat Mahomes. Now, as we go to break here, Andy Reid, we need something similar from you. You're close to my age, and you still haven't really come forth and apologize the right way. But Pat Mahomes, way to go, young man. Hero status reinstated, at least by Autry, and I think the rest of Autry's army probably feels the same way. We'll be right back. Jeremy, can I take a quick... He's going to be back like in a minute and a half. Folks, I'll be back in just about a minute and a half. Be right back. Back. Sorry. We were off for a few moments, but we're back. Don't leave. Tell your friends. Tune in. All right, we're coming back on radio here in just a few seconds.
1, 2, 3.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
Oh, yeah. Keep that going, Jeremy.
Feeling.
Crank it up.
I asked my family doctor just what I had. I said, Doctor, Mr. MD, can you tell me what's ailing me?
All right. Welcome back to the show. Boy, I tell you that there's certain songs, no matter what mood you're in, no matter how bad a mood you're in, you hear it, and you're going to feel a little bit better and sometimes a whole lot better. I wasn't even in a bad mood, so when I heard that song, I just kind of went crazy, man. It's like when his mom said, Elvis, why do you move like that? You son, sing a song in your body. And he famously said, oh, Mama, I just got to jump around when I sing. True words. All right. Hunter Biden has said, I'm not going to show up for the subpoena that just happened. Today also, the House will be voting on whether to launch an impeachment inquiry, which is different than an impeachment. We'll keep you up to date on that. If that breaks, we'll let you know. But, folks, it's not an impeachment. It's an inquiry to see if a full impeachment is warranted. And the fact the Biden camp and his representatives said we're not going to come testify before Congress on this committee you've put together to look into these shady, to say the least, dealings. There's more there right now, prima facie, right on its surface, than anything they had against Trump. And there, we have to be intellectually honest. Can all of us take our political biases out of our minds and out of our souls just for a second and look at these two things on their merits? They impeached Trump once on a phony dossier bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton based on a bar conversation of which Adam Schiff lied and said he had evidence. Still hasn't paid even price for that. He might be elected senator. Well, that's a great consequence for lying to the people. You get a new job, a bump in pay, and more prestige. Then he was exonerated from that. No Russia collusion at all. Then he gets impeached for a phone call with Zelensky. Simply saying, you might want to look into this corruption because my intelligence folks are saying there's a lot of corruption going on there in your country and on this energy board. By the way, the biggest energy company in the Ukraine. I mean, they're up there like Mobil, Texaco here in the United States of America, of which there's a prosecutor getting ready to prosecute, this guy named Pachenko, but a phone call to the president of Ukraine, simply asking him, could you look into this? Impeach him. He gets cleared of that, of course. Now you got all these other crazy indictments saying that when he said go peacefully and patriotically make your voice heard, they're translating that to mean, hey, go tear up the Capitol and make sure you guy with the Viking horns there, you go in first. I mean, it is just insane. Yet you have bank records showing millions and millions of dollars transferred to Hunter Biden's account and the accounts of his businesses, 20-something shell companies, of which Joe Biden had to change his name to a pseudonym because why? Why do you have to change your name and try to hide what you're doing? These are just questions. They may have legitimate answers. They may have legitimate answers of, all of this money they got from the mayor of Moscow, $3.5 million. Then a part of $100 million investment in a real estate deal with Hunter Biden involved. Tons of money being transferred, and at least for right now, nothing of substances built with it other than influence. Then you have Joe Biden holding $1 billion on ransom of the Ukrainian government unless they fire the prosecutor. I mean, they may have legitimate answers to all of these suspicious activities. The banks, folks, The banks that Hunter Biden did business with. 150 suspicious activity reports filed by the banks. That's not me, an old out-of-work actor broadcasting from KXEX saying that's just suspicious, that needs to be looked at. These are the banks they did business with. Their own business partners, said Joe Biden, who looked right into the camera and told the American people, I had nothing to do with my son's business dealings or my brother's business. I was not involved at all. I didn't even know about it, never had a discussion with them. Bald-faced lied. It looks like maybe they have reasons they can say he did not lie when he said this based on this evidence. That's all this committee is asking for. Come and explain yourself. And if you were Joe Biden heading an election, if you had nothing to hide because it's for the American people to see and the rest of the world to see, wouldn't you want your name cleared? But what happened today, and this is why I feel really tells me, with all of this smoke that's out there that you can barely see in front of your faces, all this smoke, there is not only a fire, there's a raging California Sierras out of control type fire with this issue. Because he played the woe is me, I was a drug addict, my father loves me. Republicans, you're going after him because he loves me. And when I went through my bout with drugs, and that's the card he played, and that's the position he's taken for not showing up to testify before Congress in this committee, and why he has rejected and basically defied the subpoena. Now they meaning the people on the left, these same Democrats that are in there, woke left Democrats, they sent people to prison, to jail for doing exactly what Hunter Biden did. Yet they're justifying him refusing the subpoena because he was a poor crack addict. He was. When's the last time you could be a drug addict like this, irresponsible, and not have consequences? I'm sorry, I had a drug problem back in my day in Hollywood, but that was not my excuse to be able to break the law and not be held accountable. I mean, they set people, I think Bannon, they said Flint, but people that opposed, that said, listen, I'm not going to honor this. And I'm going to say it right now, you got to show up when they subpoena you. That's just, it may not be fair, it may not be right, but you got a chance to go in there and tell your side of the story, to bring your lawyers in there. You get subpoenaed, it's like, you don't have that. There could be that stop sign out in the middle of the country. Out here in Riverdale, we got a lot of flat open land, and you're driving up and they have these stop signs. And you can see, as far as I can see, to your right, to your left, in front of you, and your back of you. And you're the only car out there. And you could just drive. Not going to hurt anybody to go through that stop sign and not stop. But there could be a cop over there, and if you blow that stop sign, you deserve to be pulled over because it's the law. You don't get to make up, well, I'm going to defy this law because I think it's stupid, it's silly, or this or that. Now, if you think there's corruption coming at you, you can use every means that you can and be ready to defy. If you defy it, have a very strong case as to why you're defying it. And if that's what I'm saying here, if he's defying this subpoena, okay, be ready for the doo-doo storm coming at you legally. And if you think you can make your case to a judge that you were justified in declining and not responding to that subpoena and not showing up, more power to you. But you put, I was a crack addict and my dad loves me and they were coming after him as your reason. Good luck with that. You're not going to endear yourself to any judge. Even the most woke left who's on your side is going to look at you, Hunter and Joe Biden, and go, man, you had to give me more than this. I can't rule front people on this. Give me some other information you have that this committee is railroading you and singling you out with unjustified subpoenas. You've got to be ready to prove that case. And I just don't think they have. Okay. People ask me, about this whole Joe Biden thing. Is he involved? I've said from almost day one on this thing, and Guillermo, my good buddy, Guillermo thought I was barking up the wrong tree when I said, look, this Hunter Biden laptop thing is a big story. It is, the stuff on this stuff it is totally toxic. It's bad stuff. It's not Russian disinformation. It's the real deal. The good, the bad, and the ugly, and there's not a lot of good there if you're Hunter Biden. I don't think they haven't found one email, maybe there is, that says, man, I'm really in trouble with drugs. I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me. In fact, it's just the opposite. It has him shaking down leaders around the world saying, my father's with me right now. You better do what we said for you to do. If not, I got a big memory and the hammer's coming down. That's this laptop is loaded with those things. And the FBI knows it's real. The Department of Justice knows it's real. And you still have congressmen out there saying it's Russian disinformation. This guy, I forget what his name, but a popular congressman on the left, still trying to play that card. But I'm going to give you my feeling of what happened with Joe Biden, how Joe Biden got into this situation, and why he ran for president. And I've been pretty consistent, about 90%. Some of it changed as I got new information along the way. I'm not above that. In fact, that's just how I'm stitched together. If I take a position and I get information and I believe that information is true, I'll change my position if need be. I think to do otherwise is not being a good, trustworthy person, and I try to be as good a person as I can be, and I fall short every day. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. I sure do. But I do my best, and that's one thing I can do. Whether it hurts or not, or makes me look like a fool or not, if I've taken a position, get some information that's different, hey, I changed my mind on this, based on this. But here's what I feel. I have no empirical evidence at this point. I think we may find, I feel strongly, no evidence. I'm not going to be like Adam Schiff. I've got it right here in my notes. Irrefutable evidence that's incontrovertible that what I'm about to tell you is true. It's Russian disinformation. I'm not going to play that game because I don't have it. I'll tell you exactly what this is, my opinion. I don't think Joe Biden, you're going to be hearing some banjo playing in the background, some people talking every Wednesday at noon. They have a great meeting of folks here celebrating liberty. So that's what's going on back there. It's not your radio, so don't try to fix it. Joe Biden, after serving as vice president, I don't think for one moment considered running for president. There's these theories out there on the left and the right that he really wanted to be president, and Barack Obama said, no, I'm picking Hillary Clinton, and it's Clinton over you. I don't believe that for 1 second. I don't think Joe Biden ever wanted to be president. Why? For this, two reasons. Number one, not necessarily in order of importance, but number one is his age. He knows how old he is. He was, 77 or something when he left office as vice president. He knew, the grind. And he says, okay, I'm at peace with not becoming president. He had run before. It was going to be tough at that time for him to win, he felt. But he just didn't want to be president. That's my bottom line, my premise I'm going from. So I'm going to tie this into reason number two. There's one thing that I know for sure that is more important than Joe Biden than being president of the United States. And that is the love of his kids, his family. He lost his wife and his daughter in a car wreck way back when, very early age. He came into the Senate when he was 30 years old. Been in the Senate since he was 30. Hunter and Bo, his two sons, were in that same car wreck. They survived. Imagine that. A dad, you lose your wife, you lose your daughter, and you almost lose both your sons. Traumatic. And so flash forward, his beloved boys start growing up. They're very, very tight. Bo serves in the military but gets brain cancer. Bo passes away. Okay? Can't imagine that. I mean, you just almost, seriously right now, thinking about this, telling the story, almost brings a tear to my eye. I have a son, I have daughters. It's just horrible. So he's got Hunter left. That's his only son he's got left. And I tell you, every dad out there can relate to this. You do just about anything to protect your son. You've already buried, 2 children. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. Children are supposed to bury their parents. It's weird. It's not right. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So he's living with that anguish in his heart. Well, I believe that Joe Biden knew obviously that his son Hunter Biden, whom he's protecting left and right, enabling, I believe, out of fear of losing him. I saw a similar type thing on the heat of the night, how Carroll O'Connor treated his son Hugh, trying to protect him from life's challenges that helps a person grow up, that helps a person get strong, that helps a person really learn right from wrong, to learn the blessings of the right decisions and the consequences of the wrong decisions. You got to learn that to be able to be your own person and survive in this old, crazy, cruel world. And yet you love your kids so much, you don't want them to go through that. Part of you knows they need to, but then you don't want to save them from it. And that's what Carol kind of did with Hugh. And I'll tell that story one day because I love them both, and I think he would want me to tell it. I think he would want me to tell the story because I was deeply embedded in that story of Hugh, and Hugh finally took his own life. So you have Hunter, an addiction to the depth that Hunter Biden had it, where you wind up losing your teeth, is not something that happens overnight with crack addiction. You have to be doing crack for quite some time before there's other symptoms, other ways you can tell somebody's on crack, but the losing of the teeth is something towards, and you've been doing it a while. So I would venture, looking at the timeline, that Hunter probably started doing crack probably midway through the first term of the Obama administration. That's just doing a little medical research and that sort of thing. So Joe, he knew what was going on here with Hunter. When he went into rehabs, you even have a phone call taped where he was encouraging his kid and standing by his kid. Obviously, it didn't work. Crack addiction is tremendously difficult to kick. Cigarettes, heroin, crack, cocaine, alcohol is tough enough. But crack is really, really tough. So you have this situation. You have a guy who doesn't want to be president. So what's he going to do? Well, let me tell you what old guys do. They try to leave as much behind as they can. I believe from the moment, even before his second term was over, we're finding evidence of it to prove what I'm about to say. He began the process of getting as rich as he could, selling whatever he had to sell, and that was influence. And you pick the place where you're liable to get the most money for the least amount of work. That's Eastern Europe. He went and eyeballed Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, all the stands that you can mention, got into business with his brother Jim, and began this selling of his influence with his son, part of it. That was part of the deal. To be able to help his son, hopefully, get a job, straighten out. You think that he was surprised, Joe Biden, when the contents of that laptop came out and he saw Hunter with the drug pipe, the hookers, and all that stuff, all this? No, he knew. He knew what was going on. And so this effort to procure as much money as possible by selling influence began before 2016, when Joe knew he wasn't going to run for president. Hunter was involved. Jim was involved. They put up what they thought was a firewall, but it was not. You put up these shell companies. Never in a million years did they anticipate a Republican subcommittee delving into this. In fact, Jim Biden was in a meeting. They have a document that one of the people he was working with, one of his fellow investors, if you will, said that it would take them 20, 25 years to ever unravel what they had put together. All of these shell companies, basically laundering money that they were getting, tens of millions, some people think hundreds of millions, to these shell companies, and this money going to not only Jim Biden, Hunter Biden, but the grandkids of Joe Biden, and except the one that they just recently acknowledged, and for Joe Biden himself to set himself up. Because if you look, you go do a little research, Joe Biden was known as the senator came to office with the least financial resources that any senator in recent times have. That's in his kind of bio. And that's backed up. His dad was some company, but he didn't have a lot of money. Jill's a school teacher. She didn't come from a lot of money. Yet you have 3 homes, you've got a Corvette hanging out, that you can play around with. You've got where did all this money come from? It didn't come from their salaries, and he didn't inherit it. And they didn't have it before he ran for office or she became a teacher. Where did it come from? Well, that's what this committee is trying to find out. Did it come from legitimate means? Or were you bribed? And was American policy delivered based on these agreements you have behind the scenes with some non-savory people? China, our chief competitor, Russia, Ukraine at the time. And so that's the backdrop of, I feel, what happened. Okay? Then came 2018. Okay, Joe had no plans to run for president ever again. Farthest thing from his mind. Then in 2018, the FBI opened an investigation into Hunter Biden's activities. Uh-oh. Imagine when that was delivered to the president. He knows all this stuff's been going on, but it's been given a free ride because he's a Biden, whatever. For some reason, some FBI agents, despite Comey and whatever, they opened an investigation. So he had to make a choice. If this was going to be a politically driven investigation led by partisan Democrats and to protect the so-called deep state, then it'll run its course and Hunter has nothing to worry about. That's one scenario. The other scenario is if, God forbid, if they have honest agents there at the FBI and DOJ, they're really doing their job. My son, my only son that I have left, is going to go to prison for a long, long time. He knew he hadn't paid his taxes. They told Joe. His accountants called Joe. I just know this happens. And Joe, you got to get Hunter to pay some taxes. He's taking loans here and there, and he's just over in something. We can't get in touch with him. And people ask, I don't believe he would leave his laptop at a repair shop and forget about it. I believe it absolutely. That's what crackheads do. I was a cokehead for 6 years. I did stupid stuff. Yeah, they do that. So then he's got a setback. He's looking at the polls. None of the candidates for president seem to be polling very high against Trump. And he says, okay, that's out there, my excuse. But I need to run for president because this scenario that I could not accept, I would go to my grave quickly. I just couldn't handle it. I've lost a daughter. I've lost a son. And my only surviving son is facing 20 years, maybe the rest of his life in prison. I cannot let this happen. What's the only way out? A presidential pardon. And I said this on this show right when he started running. And in 2018, when this came out, I'm saying this is the number one reason this man's running for president is not because of Charlottesville. That's what he came out and publicly said. I just couldn't handle it after Charlottesville. I had to run for president because I was the only one that can save the country. No, he's the only one that can save his son from prison. That's my opinion. And you know, a part of me, I know the country has suffered because of this, because of what he did. We don't even have a border. We got 2 wars raging, possibly a third one in Taiwan coming down the pike. Out of control inflation. We've got it is this country's fundamental policies on self-defense, the economy, are in total disarray, and you can trace it back to his policies. You don't have to, it's not some difficult maze to traverse to find out why we're in the place we're in. You were weak in Afghanistan. When you tucked our American tails between our legs, you made them do that. That's when Russia made a decision to invade the Ukraine, because they're weak. If you ever read the Art of War, that's a basic fundamental tenet of war, is you attack the enemy when they're at their weakest. And they saw America at their weakest with Joe Biden at the helm. But I understand it. I understand it. A father's love for the son. Now, don't get me wrong. That does not mean that Hunter Biden shouldn't face the full consequences of his actions if he is guilty of this, and Joe Biden. If it means impeachment, if they connect all these dots, and it looks like right now, unless he's got a great defense team that can come up with a scenario that refutes what we already know now, that he kept $1 billion away and refused to give it to the Ukrainian government when Obama had already said, go do it. He went against the president, Obama's policy, unless Obama gave him the go-ahead to do that one-off, withhold the $1 billion until they fire the prosecutor that would be investigating your son and find out way before the laptop that he was a crackhead with hookers and making deals all over and having you fly him around in Air Force Two with all of his business partners, which will get your butt impeached and him in jail. You can't excuse that. You know, they asked me, the only reason I believe in capital punishment, because very seldom do you see people get life without possibility of parole. This kid got it, 16-year-old kid did this awful murder. He got it. Right. But I've been asked, and people look at me sideways. I said, look, if they were going to let Jeffrey Dahmer out, and they said, or Richard Ramirez, the Hillside Strangler, but they said, Autry, you and only you can be the one to either let him go or pull the lever to let the electricity go or drop the pellets. What would you do? I would drop the pellets and start the electricity. Why? Because I know those two people are going to kill again. Excuse me. But I wouldn't drop it. Excuse me. I know I'm getting some heavy areas here, but you got to know what's about me, what I'm saying here. You don't got to, but I'm asking you to. That's some very severe statement to make. But I wouldn't pull the lever and say, die, sucker. Die, Dahmer. Die, Ramirez. I'd hope in their last moments, I'd be saying, boy, I hope you find Jesus. Oh, I hope you drive there. I hope they know that they have, that you've told them you've got some dude that's going to pull the lever. We've given them that authority. And it's going to happen. You need to get right with the Lord. I would hope that would happen. But if it didn't, I'd have to pull that lever, because that's called justice. And if I let them go, I'm participating in the next people they're going to kill, because they're going to kill again. Why? Because they like it. They like it. And that's why I'm not saying that Hunter Biden likes being on drugs. It's a nightmare. Joe Biden, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you have to face the consequences of your actions. The Bible says what you do in private, I will make known to the world. And that's what's happening right now. God bless. Love y'all. Thank you for tuning in on Big Wednesday. Good Lord willing, we'll be here for Thunderous Friday. Just do your best. Let God do the rest. I promise it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Bye-bye now.
Until then, who cares about the clouds?